BookTube! I'm here with my July TBR and an announcement that I'm going to be participating in the Happy 150th Birthday Canada Challenge Readathon, what a mouthful, hosted by Erin over at Waiting Moose. I'll link her channel down below and her channel explaining the readathon. It goes on all month and it's concentrated on Canada. So first is read a book set in Canada, and I'm going to go with Brown Girl in the Ring by Nalo Hopkinson, which is a science fiction about, it takes place in Toronto, about how that city has been left by all the rich people and it's kind of been barricaded to leave all like the poor people inside. And now the moneyed people are coming in and harvesting the bodies of the poor people. It also has to do with a lot of Afro-Caribbean mythology and magic and stuff like that, so it sounds really cool. Next is to read a book by a Canadian author, and I know there's going to be some controversy here. He's made some controversial waves in Canadian literature in the past year, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to get into an argument. I'll be reading 3-Day Road by Joseph Boyden, and this is about some Ojibwe Cree men who return after World War I back to Canada. I believe that's what it's about. So yeah. Next is to read a book with red and white or just red on the cover, and this is the only non-Canadian book I'll be reading because I wanted to read it and it fit the challenge, and that's an instance of The Finger Post by Ian Pearce. Red and white and orange, which is a shade of red, sure. Yeah, and this is an interesting novel. It's about a woman who is on trial for committing murder and the 4 witnesses. So we get the same story, kind of, told by 4 different people. So it sounds really quite cool. Then the next is read a Canadian nonfiction book, and I'm going to pick up this memoir, Wab Kinew, The Reason You Walk. Wab Kinew is a Canadian personality, I guess. He's a broadcaster, a musician, he's now a politician. He hosted Canada Reads, and I wish he'd come back and host Canada Reads. He's such a great moderator and speaker. He won Canada Reads. I'm obsessed with Canada Reads, in case you don't know. And this is about his relationship with his father. Then we have read a book of Canadian poetry, and I'm going to be reading Lurgha Malou by Robert Paul Weston, and this is a children's novel told in verse with some illustrations and some play on text and all there, and it's about Katrina Cottrell, and I just adore alliteration. She's a little girl with a big imagination, so when she sees a shadowy figure lurking in a subway tunnel, she thinks it's all in her head, but it's Morty the Zorgle, and he's on a quest to find the missing Zorgles of Lurgha Malou. So it seems just like a really fun, kind of eerie novel. The illustrations are quite, you know, creepy there on the end papers. I'll take off the cover and show you there. So yeah, that's Lurgha Malou by Vancouverite Robert Paul Weston. And then the last is read a book set around hockey or curling, and I'm not a fan of hockey. I like playing curling. I don't like watching curling. I don't really like watching any sport. But I do have this book, and I've been wanting to read it. King Lear by Paul Corrington. So this is about a retired hockey player, and he's now living in a nursing home. And he's actually sharing a room with the reporter who is described as antagonistic and alcoholic, who chronicled his career. And he's, you know, slowly being forgotten. But then an advertising agency comes and offers him, you know, a role in their latest commercial to advertise for ginger ale. And it's about their journey. And it won the award for the Stephen Leacock Memorial Medal for Humor. So a very funny book, and this is part of my Canada Reads back selection. It's from 2008. Yeah, so that's the Canada Challenge read along. I have some other books I'll be reading as well in July. Stargate Atlantis, another one by the same author, James Swallow. This is Nightfall. Halcyon by the same author made it to my all-time favorite list of last year, and I still think about that book and the world that he created and how awesome it was. And I've watched this show at least the last season at least 10 times. Like I love this show. I love these characters. I know them really well. So he got them really well in Halcyon. So I'm excited to hop into Nightfall and see how he does with that. So this is about a planet, and of course the Wraith are coming, but this planet is also dealing with this sickness, and 2 people from the team go missing. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then I'll be finishing up the Garmin trilogy. I'm so sad that I'm coming to an end, but I know I can always go back and reread it. So that's not this. This is just a bind up. I'll be reading this whole thing. The one I'll be reading is Titus Alone, which is this last section of the book here. It's about 200 pages. And with the end of that series, I'll be picking up a new one, Xenogenesis by Octavia E. Butler. This is a bind-up of the 3 books in that series. And I just plan on reading the first one, Dawn, which I think is about 240 pages or so. So this series is about Earth has died. It's done. But some humans have been saved by the Oankali. And hundreds of years later, Earth can be re-inhabited, and the humans are starting to wake up. But the only stipulation is that the Oankali will give everything back to the humans as long as they can breed with them. So that seems really quite interesting, an interesting idea I haven't encountered before. And science fiction. So yeah, that is it. That's what I'll be reading in July. Let me know what you'll be reading in July, and if you are participating in the Canada Readathon hosted by Erin over at Waiting Moose. And thank you for watching.